Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to another video on RC in motion of the TrailCrusher build, pretty much. So you guys already seen the build on the axles. We're just resting here, waiting for the rest of the truck to be built. And on today's build video, we have the transmission. And like I told you guys, this type of transmission, it's similar to the VP transmission, Vanquish products, for you guys that don't know. It's all the same material. It's all metal. It's aluminum, whatever you want to call it, high grade metal, high speed metal. We have the hot racing heatsink motor plate. You guys can see it has the heatsink installed on the plate itself, so that's real convenient. We have the Robinson racing gears, and we're gonna do something different. We had the stock gearing, which was 87 tooth spur, but instead we're gonna go with this 64 tooth 32 pitch. They're big gears, that way we don't strip them as easily. And we're gonna go with this type of spur and type of pitch, so we're gonna go ahead and install that one as well. But again, simple transmission, all aluminum. The quality is great. It's for the price, you can't beat it. I mean, the entire transmission case for about $20-something. You cannot beat that price. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and start installing the components. So let's go ahead and install our bearings. I'm gonna try to do this as quick as possible. Okay, we have 2 bearings on this side. This is a pain. There we go. 2 bearings. The other side, the same thing. This bearing's going pretty tight. No, that's in there pretty good. Take them out. I'd have to do the same process. Okay, and this top bearing. We have bearings on our idler gear. Okay, so we can go ahead and install the main gear. And then we have our shaft for our spur gear. It has this tiny little pin. You guys can see it there. Focus. Tiny little pin. That little pin goes onto this smaller gear here, which goes out to your spur and your motor. Now that we have all the gears there installed already, what I like to do is take some Team Associated black grease. You guys can see this, part number 6588. You guys can order it on their website, or any other I believe Aim Hobby sells them as well, or any other RC related website. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put some here on one side of the gear, and just give it a spin, and we get it everything lubed and tight. There you go. Just to keep them gears from overheating, we keep them cool with that grease. Okay, let's put a little bit more here. That should do it. Okay, now that we have the gears lubed and prepped, we can go ahead and put on that other half. All the bearings in place. It sits just like such. Okay, so now we have a couple things we have to first build up here. Okay, so first we have this spacer here. Whenever you're running a transmission for Axial, whenever you have this setup, you're gonna need this spacer. If not, it comes with the backing, so that way you can put that spur gear cover on. But since we're not running the spur gear cover, and we're running a different type of setup here with just the plate and the spur. We need this spacer here, which installs fairly easily, just like such. Okay, and it installs right there. There goes the spacer. Okay, then we can go ahead and put in that motor plate. Before we put that in, we need to install the spacers that are going to hold up these 2.5 millimeter screws. Okay. Go ahead and install these. Okay. There we go. Now this type of transmission has this other screw on the other side. Is a 2.0 millimeter or a 2 millimeter hex screw, and that way you have this transmission tightened up pretty good. Button it from all sides. Okay, and then it has an M3 lock nut on this side, and there you go. Check it out. Okay, so now for the last step, all we have to do, you guys could hear this transmission. Sounds pretty good. So the last step we have to do is install this tiny little pin. You guys won't be able to see it, but it's real tiny, into the shaft here. Before we do that, I'm sorry, I'm missing one step. There's this tiny little spacer that keeps everything in place. Something like that. Most kits include it. Some kits don't, but we just drop it in there. You guys won't be able to see it, but it's all the way tucked on the bottom, and it keeps this from vibrating on the sides of the transmission case and that spacer. So once we put that in place, we can go ahead, put in that small pin, and then drop in this slipper clutch assembly. Once we dropped it in, you can go ahead and tighten down that slipper. So you put spacer, spring, another spacer, and that lock nut. So now we can go ahead and tighten it down. And once we have it tightened down all the way, we'll go ahead and maybe, I use a reference point, so I'll use this reference point, this screw as a reference point, line it up with my lock nut. I might give it one turn, maybe a quarter turn. And there goes the slipper. So, as you guys can see, we have the axles, now we have the transmission all done and set. Look at this. You can barely hear it. It's a good thing about the grease, it keeps that noise reduction real low, or reduces the noise, of course. But this is what it looks like so far. Check it out. Beefy transmission. This is hardcore. I've put links in the description box to these parts, and you can find them for cheap, any color you want. You don't have to stick to red and black. You can, whatever theme you want to do, you just pick out the color. But the transmission is already done, axles are done, and we're going next to mounting links, and then go from there. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little quick tip, this shaft right here that goes to that smaller gear. When you install that gear, it actually, the shaft sits on this bearing that's back here. When you install that gear, you want to make sure that you put that gear in from the front of the shaft and it slides back to that small pin, because if you put it from the back, this entire setup is going to be way offset and you're going to have loose parts in between here. So what you want to do is you take that small gear and you line up the pin and you just bring it in from the front of the shaft. You bring it down, so that way everything sits pretty tight and you have your engine closer to the spur gear. You don't have to stick it out that far. So hope you guys enjoyed. Rate, comment, subscribe like always, guys. Share and like this video if you guys found it informative, or if you guys are entertained by build series, I guess, if you want to call it. But catch you guys in the next one.